Hello, lovelies. So I'm feeling a bit punchy and pugnacious, a trifle priapic. I blame the spring and a relative lack of sleep due to the massive storms we had a couple of days ago here in the UK, which hit my area. Fortunately, no flooding right here, but there were over 220,000 lightning strikes overnight. Alright, I slept through it, but I didn't feel like I slept through it, and I don't think I've really recovered the sleep since. As you can tell, I also still have this medicine induced cough, but since it's making me feel better again in every other way, I'll take that. It just means I might need to stop for a drink now and again. This Sunday, as we get into housekeeping, this Sunday I am running Fallout. This will be a mini campaign aiming for 6 episodes. Might run long, might run short. There are starter characters, but you'll be free to make your own character if your original character dies or something else happens. Though there are additional pre-gens should that happen as well. So hopefully you'll tune in over on Grimstreams, and if you want a place in the game, I need someone people who are willing to try and commit to turning up for at least 3 out of the 6 games, shall we say, so that we can have some sort of continuity going on. And yeah, this is taking a break in my project, and the rate at which I buy or am sent RPGs means this isn't going to help the Grim Game project. But since Fallout is one of the games I haven't played, we'll give it a go. Progress on Ronin is slow because I just haven't had much writer mojo lately. That said, all the rules are done for the core book, and I have just completed going through a quick little sort of rewrite and addition, adding the environmental turn rules. I guess there's no hurry because there's been another game treading similar ground that's come out recently. So yeah, I guess it can wait. The character of today's comments, hypocrisy has always bothered me. I know it shouldn't, to the extent that it does, but it does. Some people have said that this is a sign that I am on the autism spectrum, and I'm not particularly inclined to fight them on that. The whole bears thing has been incredibly, well, to use their word, triggering for me. So I may or may not go deeper into some of the things I brought up when talking about the bears issue. Leanna Kersner did a good Feedback Friday this last Friday that spent a lot of time on the bears thing, so I would recommend going and watching that. There's a few people doing half decent pushbacks, which is nice to see. I've made a bit of a dent in my review stack, but it's still pretty towering, so I will try and get to that. I guess it's good that I have plenty of slightly newer RPG books to go over. Yeah, that's something, I guess. Alright, this might end up being a long one, as the bishop said to the actress, so maybe put a cup of tea on, and right, let's get into it. On bears, the would you rather run into a man or a bear in the wild thing that I did a couple of videos on. I've amalgamated the comments. Almanac of Sleep says, they're trying to make a point about misogyny, but in the stupidest and most undermining way possible. I don't know that it is really about misogyny. I think this fear of men isn't particularly justified, statistically speaking. And I think you find it manifested in both wings of the political turkey, but in slightly different ways. Like, the right wing or the traditionalist or the reactionary wing will tend to put the blame for these things happening on the women, but they're still tacitly blaming men by effectively saying that men can't control themselves or whatever, or are inherently violent, and therefore we need very, very strong policing, etc., etc., etc. While the left wing of the turkey, though not really, tends to blame the men in a way that they would not accept for any other demographic being blamed for things. Like, I have white supremacists arguing with me on my channel all the fucking time, and they bring what is essentially the same argument as the pro-bear lobby has been prosecuting. Oh, look at the stats. Look at the stats! Yeah, but when we consider why racial minorities in our countries might be slightly more responsible for crime, we seek to contextualize and understand it. We delve deeper into the statistics than rather simply going, oh, black and brown people bad. So why are we not extending that same courtesy to men as a demographic? Not to be all MRA on you, but it's bloody unfair. Atalanta says, 2 years after she disappeared, the dead body of my friend Veronica was found in the woods. A man killed her, but none of the other women I've known in my life were found dead in the woods. Now, I am terribly sorry to hear that, but the plural of anecdote is not data. There are men who have been killed by women, who have been driven to suicide by women. Women are several multiples more likely to harm or abuse their own children compared to men. But I wouldn't advocate that children be kept away from women, or that all women be considered dangerous to children at all times, right? No matter what the statistics appear to say, using that to taint all women when it's such a tiny minority doesn't seem particularly sane or proportionate. Timothy of Cox says, Cox, my friend, even though we're oceans apart, I stand with you. I too was raped by a woman in my youth and told I enjoyed it. I didn't, and it's taken years of self-sabotage and self-exploring to come to grips with it. Information mitigates pain, and it saved me from ending it all. We are strong because we exist in a world of great hatred towards us, and we must pass that strength on to our next generation of men in this devilish world. They will need that support even more than our generation. Peace be with you, and much brotherly love. Okay, so I divulged, not for the first time, but I don't bring it up very often, that I have been sexually assaulted a few times in my life by women. And no, I didn't like it. These were not people I wanted to touch me, especially intimately. At the time, I kind of dismissed it, and it is only really later in life that I've come to understand and appreciate what happened and how it was wrong. I think in only one incident did I try and kind of obliquely report what had happened, and then it was still too embarrassing to make myself clear, and nothing was done about it. Right, so just to clarify, Timothy, I was not raped. I was touched intimately without my consent. And another time I was touched by someone trying to make their boyfriend jealous and to provoke a fight. That kind of combines both sexual assault and threats of violence and so on. I think it's more common than we think. I think most men like me would have dismissed what happened to us, laughed it off, which might actually be a healthier attitude, all told. But I think it's important to bring it up when and where it might be relevant to some degree. In one of the many arguments I've gotten into people around the bear issue, some woman tried to pwn me by saying, "Okay, women, show of hands, how many times have you been attacked or threatened?" And then she included 5 hand emojis. Well, the number of times I've been threatened or assaulted in any way is well into double digits. Probably a lot more if you count internet threats and so on. So I don't think that was quite the own that she thought it was. Make of that what you will, of course. Fjord Keeper says, I feel heavily torn on this. On the one hand, I want to give those women their fun with their generalizing joke, just like I want everyone to be able to make generalizing jokes of bad taste. On the other hand, I know by my own experience that these kind of jokes can have a real negative impact on people. I feel like these sorts of jokes are trying to catch a single fish, but using a massive trawl. Sure, you'll catch that fish, but your trawl will be filled with many other fish that you didn't necessarily want to catch. Well, yeah, that's the nature of broad brush stuff, but, we do find people saying all men until no men, and other things like that. And yeah, I would like them to be able to have their generalizing jokes, but that's where the double standard comes in, isn't it? Because they want to have their generalizing jokes in inverted commas, but no one else is allowed to have generalizing jokes without being torn down a peg. So again, there's these hypocritical double standards that always bother me a huge amount. Hunraku says, I'm a teacher and I always feel much more sexually suspect compared to the women I work with. They pet and hug the students, while I absolutely will not touch them except in the most cursory of fist bumps. I make sure my door is wide open whenever I have a lone student in the room. This extends out into the regular world as well, where men are generally seen as predators, while women are seen as nurturing. And it was then that we had a power cut for all of about 5 seconds, but which was long enough to take out the internet, to corrupt my notes file, and to interrupt what I was doing. However, you have all heard me talk about the whole teaching thing before, and there weren't that many comments left. Well, actually, there were quite a few. But still, I cannot be asked to go back and sort it all out. So that's it for today. Thank you for paying attention. And if you can't pay attention, I know the economy's bad. Maybe you can't afford to pay attention. Zang. It's been called misogynistic, racist, a hate group, reactionary. It's been blamed for Trump, for keeping women out of games and technology. None of this is true. If you want the real story, then you need to buy Inside Gamergate.